Hey everybody, this is Perch. A couple pieces of news coming out of New York City Comic Con. I mean, most of the announcements were either kind of or benign or good. The funniest news was Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So that movie, Zoe Saldana said she's ready to leave her MCU character Gamora behind. Basically, she's played the character now for multiple movies. She's ready to be done with it. Here's the quote that I found kind of funny. She said, "Let it be a brown girl to play Gamora." Saldana told Variety of her hopes for the character's future. "Give that opportunity to a woman of color and see what the new Gamora is going to bring to the table." Gamora, of course, is green, so give it to a brown girl so you could paint her green. That makes complete sense. Why not? Anyway, in terms of actual comic news, a handful of things. They did spoil the end of Venom War with the news that Eddie Brock will become the new Carnage. As far as I'm concerned, this feels a little bit like the Venom suit at this point is kind of a symbiote STD that makes its way around. I mean, Eddie Brock has been all of the Venoms now. He's been Venom, he's been Anti-Venom, now he's going to be Carnage. And the idea behind it is that, can he control the murderous impulses of Carnage in him? Basically, can he be a force for good as Carnage? Now, they're putting this book out, or they're putting this news out, kind of right as we're getting Venom: The Last Dance of Eddie Brock as Venom. So it makes complete sense. It's good movie synergy. I don't know. To me, it's you've got likely Power Man or Luke Cage becoming the new Venom, Eddie Brock becoming new Carnage. It just this stuff is just all mixed around. I'm not sure who's really following the plot here at this point. I mean, it just feels like everything is going everywhere. The more interesting news, probably coming out of Comic-Con, is the confirmation of news that broke before, which is that on the main Batman title, very specifically starting in Batman 158, we will get a return of Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb on Batman as a team, and they will be doing Hush 2, as opposed to, just the two of them teaming up on a new piece of IP. But anyway, it will be Hush 2. So Jeff Loeb, Jim Lee returning to take over the core Batman book. They're not saying how long it is. They are bringing the entire gang back together. They'll have Alex Sinclair as colorist, Scott Williams inking over Jim Lee's pencils, which is excellent. Richard Starking's doing the lettering. So it is the full band back together. There is some art that has been put out, which looks fine. What we don't get is how long this is going to go. The original Hush series went for 12 issues. I think it's reasonable to assume this is also going to go 12 issues. Anyway, they're going to put a preview out in Justice League Unlimited #1, which will be out November 27th, and then otherwise this comic issue 158, which will 100% be done on time. Actually, they've been working on it for quite a while, so in theory it will be done on time. It will start in March of 2025. So if you love Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb on Hush, you will get a new one of that. We did get news that IDW is got a new logo, which sucks, but also that they're going to be really putting some time and money into horror. And so this is they're going to launch with the titles, the licensed titles: Smile, A Quiet Place, Twilight Zone, Event Horizon, and Sleepy Hollow. I don't know the Tim Burton Sleepy Hollow. Yeah, I went to see Event Horizon looking for a really good sci-fi movie. I remember I took Mrs. Perch to that before we were married, and I was like, let's go see a good sci-fi movie. That was not a sci-fi movie. I mean, it was, but it was a full-blown horror movie. Anyway, we will get IDW Dark, which is their brand new imprint specializing in terror tales. And this is Maggie Howell will be the group editor about this new imprint. Maggie, as you may remember from some old interviews I did with Sean Gordon Murphy, Maggie was Sean's editor on White Knight. So now she is leading these new series. And IDW went on to kind of promote some of the other things they've done, including 30 Days of Night. Presumably, or not presumably, they did use some artwork from Ben Templesmith without his permission, which is super great. And then Beneath the Trees, some other things. So, we will get that that's going on. The 30 Days of Night, by the way, is 30 Days of Night Falling Sun, which is has nothing to do with Temple Smith, but is gleefully using some of the original art to get those nostalgia memory berries. Member berries. Sorry, I just said that one completely and entirely wrong. Anyway, so we've got a couple new series. There's a couple other new comics that were announced. A lot of news from James Gunn because it's Comic Con, so we got to talk a lot about movies. But there was some news about things he's doing. We do have the news on the movie front that the MCU Blade film is being delayed indefinitely, which is a surprise to pretty much absolutely nobody. But anyway, so that movie is not coming out anytime soon, and I think at this point, we'll see. I think there's a higher probability we're going to get a Wesley Snipes Blade movie out of Marvel long before we get actually that Blade. The joke in Deadpool 3 is actually, turning out to be quite on the nose. We are getting people have listened to this channel for a while, I like the book Strange Academy. We're getting a 5-issue limited series called Doom Academy, which is taking place in the pretty much the 2025. It will be a one world under Doom, and this is going to be pretty much the thing they're going to run with. If you remember Dark Reign from Marvel, it certainly feels a hell of a lot like Dark Reign. So Doctor Doom took over the role of Sorcerer Supreme during the vampire bullshit that went on with Marvel. And so he's going to be basically inflicting his will on the entire world, and we'll see what a world under Doom really looks like before he's, of course, defeated and humbled, and as you do with a Doom. There were other, there are other things. There's this weird kind of Peach Momoko Spawn variant cover fight that went on. It feels like there's a fight for a Peach Momoko comic every time at these conventions anymore. So, I don't know if that's going on. Probably a video for another time. A couple of you sent in the articles noting that Diamond comic distributors are actually consolidating what they're doing, which is a fancy word for they're closing a warehouse. That people are reading more into that than they need to. They're closing a warehouse. If they were doing great, they wouldn't close a warehouse, but they're not doing great, and they're not dying either. So anyway. A lot of people talking about that. There was a couple other comics that were announced, a bunch of kind of random things. There's some Star Wars books for Marvel that they're talking about. I probably should wrap up Star Wars in general and just kind of talk about all the things going on there, because there's a lot that's happening. The big news around the Absolute Universe and everything DC is doing already happened. Marvel is teasing the Spider-Verse versus the Venomverse as a all-out brawl, kind of giant summer event for Marvel with the Spidey characters. It sounds absolutely shitty. Stephanie Phillips continues to get work with a book called The Women of Marvel, and this is street-level heroes. I mean, sort of. It's street-level heroes that will happen. It's Women of Marvel, She-Devils #1. This is a new book announced. It is a limited series, but they are... sort of. It's hard to say. They both build this as an anthology, including in the solicitation. There were some comments about maybe there's more. Rich Johnson super douched it up by saying, "I am rather a fan of comic creators Stephanie Phillips and Allison Sampson." Thank you. I'm glad you're rather a fan of those two. Anyway, this book is going to cover Shayna the She-Devil, Elektra Daredevil, the daughter of Blade, Echo, Laura Kinney, Wolverine, and just some other nonsense. So anyway, it's a dark conspiracy to call together street level women of Marvel heroes, if you can really call Shayna the She-Devil and her giant ass leopard a street level hero. But in general, the news coming out of New York Comic Con, like I said, it was fine. I really don't think the world under Doom. I guess there's also the news that we are getting a Ultimate Wolverine, and it's going to be Wolverine as if he was the Winter Soldier. So we do have that as well. Anyway, a lot of comics that are to me benign or okay. Nothing truly egregious. Just kind of there. A lot of people went to New York Comic Con, apparently had a great time. So if you were there, let me know your experience in the comments below. Were you involved in the Peach Momoko fight? Curious to get your take on it. Is anything exciting you? What news did you hear out of New York City Comic Con that really got you going? Let me. Oh, there was that Steve McNiven and Charles Soule are doing Old Man Daredevil. So you get that too. Anyway, let me know what you like in the comments below. Like and subscribe, of course. And thanks for listening.